So today's kind of going to be a little like beginning geometry, a little different take on it. And eventually we're going to get to what's called trigonometry in this section. So this chapter, chapter 6 is called trigonometry. And if you remember like sines and cosines and tangents, that's what's coming in this chapter. But before we get to that, we're going to talk about basically just angles. We're going to be doing some drawing angles, but rather than drawing, like the old school way would be with a protractor, like put your little thing and you mark where it is and draw a line on a protractor. We're going to do it actually on Delta Math. They have like a program that allows you to do it. So we'll eventually get there, but we're going to be drawing just on a computer as well, which is the way most things are done now anyhow. So makes a little more sense to do it that way. All right. So first thing we need to talk about is, well, what is an angle on a very basic level? Well, I've seen this before. An angle, might look something like this. Arrow here. That's an angle. So how can you describe, if someone asks you to describe what an angle is?
Measurement of the vertex between two lines.
A vertex between two lines. Okay, that's pretty good. Okay, what would you say, Jake? Okay, intersection of two rays. That's good. Yeah, anybody else? Any way to describe it? Those, if kind of mash those together, that'd be good. Yeah. So the way we're going to describe it is two rays. Rays are aligned with a vertex on one end, and then let's go describe the other end with a common vertex. So vertex is this point, and then those are rays. That forms an angle. Basically, the measurement between those two rays. We're going to draw angles in what's called standard position. This might be new for you. Standard position. To do so, we're going to think of basically like a coordinate plane. So just draw like two axes, x and y. And an angle is drawn in standard position, which is what we're going to see for all of our angles today. It's going to look kind of like this. The vertex is going to be the center of the coordinate plane, and the one side is going to be on the x-axis like this. Right. And we actually don't really even draw it that much in practical sense because it's on the axis. We just kind of like use the axis as the side. This is called the initial side. Initial side. And it's on the x-axis. So that's initially where we start. Always start on the x-axis. And then the other part of the angle, just draw it up here, is called the terminal side. Terminal means like the ending side. Initial and the ending. So, yeah, it ends your life.
Yeah, I kind of.
Or like an airport terminal is like the end of your destination. Yeah, terminal means end. Terminal cancer means way to bring some light to our conversation.
I was just to be honest. I thought so when I opened my eyes.
So generally an angle in standard position, we're going to be measuring from here to here. That would be the angle. And the way that we're moving here, would you describe this as clockwise or counterclockwise?
Counter.
Yeah, counterclockwise. Because the clock, if you let people actually even read it, because the clocks anymore, but yeah. So the clock hands move this way. So that way is clockwise. So this way to the left is counterclockwise. So that's how angles are typically measured. They're measured counterclockwise. So we're going to look at two types here. So counterclockwise measurements are going to be positive angle measurements. So something you haven't seen before, is probably negative angles, which we're going to talk about. Positive angles is generally how we talk about angles, and they're always measured counterclockwise. So measured here to here, that way. That's counterclockwise. That's going to be a positive angle. So, for example, that last one we just had, you can actually just add a label onto it. The other side here. So if we were to measure this angle, what do you guys estimate that angle is? 110, okay. 120 maybe, somewhere around there. Yeah, so you know, one thing you already kind of intuitively know, this is 90 degrees from here to here. It's 90, right? It's 90. So we'll be on 90. So yeah, you might estimate, say that's 110, 120. So let's say we estimate it, say 120 degrees. So that would be the positive angle measurement. Now we could go the other way around. I could take it this way around, go from here to here. If we said that's 120, what would it be the other way around? Huh? No. Yeah, it'd actually be negative 240 degrees the other way. So this way, because they add together to give you 360, right? 120, 240 is 360. So the negative direction, if we went the opposite way, would be negative 140. So a clockwise angle, clockwise is going to be a negative angle measure. So clockwise is negative. Counterclockwise is positive. So what we're going to do is draw some big coordinate planes here and put some common measurements on here, which are going to be useful. So actually go back here. All right. And I would draw this. It's going to be helpful for your assignment. It's going to help us in estimating. So I'm going to draw a coordinate plane. And we're going to put on this basically all the common angle measurements that we're going to use. Eventually, we're going to do something called the unit circle. Jason heard of that? Anybody else heard of the unit circle before? Okay. So eventually, you're going to memorize the unit circle. Not just yet. It's in section, I think, 6.3 maybe, 6.0, 6.3. But this is going to actually help us when we get to that point, because this is going to be the degree part of it. So I'm going to start by labeling this 0 degrees. Right there. And like I said, you'll memorize this, but the degrees part should be easy, and we're going to start now. So easier when we get there. Up here would be 90 degrees up there. 90-degree angle from the x-axis to there. So this over here would be what? 80 degrees. What would be down here? 270 degrees. And then all the way around is 360 degrees. But those aren't the only angles that we can have or know. These all are adding 90, you can see as we go around, right? I'm going to draw a line right in the middle of this. Yeah, and halfway between 0 and 90 is going to be 45 degrees. 45. You can also go halfway in the second quadrant. Yeah, and to get that one, notice how we added 45. If we started at 90 and added 45, we'd get 135 degrees. No. Do the same with the next quadrant. Go right in the middle. Obviously, it won't be perfect, but just do your best in the middle. What's that going to be? 225 degrees. And you go to the last one. So those are the middle of all of those. The middle of each quadrant. We're going to do a little bit better, though. We're going to go even more specific. we're going to divide this up into, think of it as in thirds. So it's not right in the middle of these two. It's going to be kind of a third of the way through this quadrant. Yeah, that's going to be 30 degrees. And then we're also going to go 2/3 of the way through. Right there. I think that's going to be. So we'll just stop right here for a second. So in this first quadrant, you probably remember things like the 30, 60, 90 right triangle. I remember hearing that 45, 45, 90 triangle. So these are really common angle measurements. This 30, 45, 60, and 90. These are like the most common. And if we just kind of like repeat this in all of the quadrants, and make it all the way around the circle. So you can start to see some pattern here. So 0 plus 30 is 60, plus 30 again is 90. So we're going to plus 30 again. So then we would get to 120. 120 degrees here. And now we're going to skip the middle. We're going to add 30 again. So we add 30 to 120. And we get 150 degrees. Yeah, 30 again, you get 180, right? Add 30 again, like a third of the way through. What's that? Yep, 210 degrees. Add 30 again. 240. Add 30 again, you get 270. Add 30 again. 300 degrees. And last, add 30 again. 330 degrees. And then add 30 again, you get 360. So these are the most common angle measures. This again, you'll memorize this, but really it's just sort of memorizing the pattern. So add 30, 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 go around. And the middle one, just add 45, add 45, add 45, add 45, add 45. Just a pattern of adding 30 or adding 45. So this is the positive direction. This is if we're moving counterclockwise. We can also go in the negative direction, so we're going to label that as well. The counterclockwise direction and do the same thing. We're going to draw a similar axis here. Start with just our x and y here. And this is the other one. It's again clockwise. So rather than starting with 0 on top here, we're going to start with 0 on the bottom. So 0 is on there. And then everything is going to be just the same except opposite. This is going to be negative 90 down here. Negative 180. Negative 270. And negative 360. It's just the same except reverse. And like before, we can go and just do sort of the middle of all of these. Just going to draw lines in the middle. And we can fill those in. So each of those that are halfway through the 90 are going to be 45. So this first one is going to be negative 45 degrees. We're going to negative 90. And it's negative 135. And it's negative 180. Negative 225. Negative 270. Negative 315. And then back to negative 360. And then if we were to fill in all the 30s in there, add 2 on each side there. So we get negative 30 degrees, 0 to 60, so we have 60 degrees. Got 90, negative 120, 150. And there, negative 180, negative 210, negative 240. Negative 270, negative 300, and negative 33. Anybody confused about how I came up with any of those? We can see the pattern going around. There's actually another way of looking at these angles as well, using a different angle measurement. We're not going to do it today, but does anybody know the other way that we can measure angles? Yeah? It's close to rotation. No, so kind of like Fahrenheit versus Celsius, kind of that deal. Yeah? Yeah, it's called radians. Yeah, radians. Yeah, with pi. Yeah. So we'll talk about that. Actually, the higher you get in math, you don't really use degrees that much anymore. You actually use another unit called a radian. And so we'll get to that shortly as well. So what we're going to look at now is how we're going to accomplish this on Delta Math. You don't need to start on it yet, just watch for a couple minutes here. It's not hard, but just going to give us some practice with this. This first section, all you're going to do is basically just estimate it. You have to be right within 10 degrees. So you can see the angle here. You can see just this little green part here. So obviously that one's exactly 90 degrees. So all you do is estimate it within 10 degrees. This would be very easy. Okay, so that one looks like it's a little bit past 180, but it's not quite to the next one, which is 210. So you might estimate that as 190, something like that. And if you miss it, it's not a big deal, but just do best estimate. And there's 188. So you just have to get within 10. Just helping you learn where the different angles are. And you can see they're written on here as well. So that's the first section, just estimating. The next one is rotating. So what you're going to do is you're going to click and drag approximately where this is. So 140 degrees. Well, we know 135, that's close to it. That's right in the middle of this quadrant, right? 135. So we're going to maybe go a little bit past that. You're just going to get close to 140. So let's go about right there. And again, you just have to get within 10 degrees. And there, mine was 142. So you're just going to estimate. They could also be negative. This one's 303. So we got click. Make sure you drag it the correct direction. This is 180. This is 210. 310. 300. It's right here. This is 270. So 300 is going to be your next one right here. So probably pretty close to there. And you're just going to submit your answer. So you could also have negative ones. Let me see. I've got any negative ones here. No positives. I believe so. Maybe not on this one. Okay. Well, the next one. I'm sure this one has negatives as well. There we go. Yeah, I knew. All right. Negative 95. So you're going to go the opposite way. So we're going to go negative 90 here, and then some negative 95 just a little bit past that. So we'll try right there. It's got a streak of positives there. So that's how you're going to do that one. So with 10 problems, it won't actually take you very long. And then I've got some more challenging ones here. So I'm not going to go over this too much because I want you guys to try to figure this out on your own. Sometimes it's good to just, you guys are smart, just learn how to do it on your own here. This is negative 981. Okay. This is gonna be a little bit challenging. What do you guys think I would want to do? Think about negative 981. Obviously, is not on there, right? Yeah. So if I kind of go this way, I know I'm gonna go negative, right? So one way around would be negative 360, right? If I go around again, I'm at negative 720. Okay. And then I'm going to have to add to that, let's see, negative 720. It's going to be negative 810. And just kind of we go around. What you might want to do, this is what I would do, is add multiples of 360. So if I added 360 to this, and you might want to use a calculator, so that would leave me with 621, negative 621. And then add 360 again. And that's going to leave me with 261. So negative 261, that is an angle that we have, right? Negative 261. So I went around the circle twice, right? Because I added 360 twice. So I want to go around the circle 2 full revolutions to show here. So I want to go around once in the negative, twice in the negative, and then I need to go to negative 261. So then a negative 270 is up here. So I want to go a little bit less than that. So maybe here. Be good. It should be approximately negative 981. Yeah.
Do you add 360
Until it's like between 0 and 360. Yeah. One of the numbers that you know. Yeah. And I just have 5 of those. They're more for a challenge. We'll actually talk tomorrow about something called a coterminal angle, which is similar, which is basically what this is. But I kind of wanted you guys to try to figure this out. So you're going to go around, and actually it's kind of fun. You can just like go around as many times as you want. I was playing with this earlier. And just make this go as many times as you want. And then it'll actually do the calculation for you. So you can mess around with it. I at least thought it was amazing. And no, it was not right. Let's try it again. And my angle was negative 9,716 degrees. Anyhow, you guys have the period to work on that. If and when you get it finished, I am going to have a quizzes.